Another excellent example to memorize how to play for the attack of the king in the presence of the heavy pieces is the following example from the game Alekhin-Lokvents. Alekhin, of course, was a world champion, and we can learn a lot of things from his experience. And in this position, white is using exactly the same principle what I was talking about in the previous example of the game of Sveshnikov. Here, if you look at the position of the king f5, you can see that it is much less safe than the king on g1. But the direct checks on f8 or f7 by the queen or the rook, they do not work, because black rook can always play rook f6 and protect the king from the checks. But in this position, the king on g1 is also not safe, and black is threatening to give the check on b1, and after king g2, f3, and even to give mate. So white needs the way not only to continue the attack on the black king, but also at the same time to think about the safety. So white selects the move, which is multi-purpose move, because it serves several purposes: prophylactical and at the same time attacking move. So the next move, queen c1, is very, very strong, securing the position of the king g1, that no longer checks on the first rank are available, and at the same time the queen goes to the square h3, or planning to go to the square h3, to give the checks from the side where there is no protection from the checks with the help of the rook. If you begin to give the checks from the h line, rook e6 cannot protect the king from the checks. So exactly the same principle which you should try to remember. Now a5, because otherwise in many circumstances white is able to restore the material balance, taken on h7 for example, or a7, and then the attack would continue but with equal material. Probably with the correct play it is possible to save this position by black, but in the practical game defense of such a difficult position is much more difficult than the attack, and it is because the value of moves is very, very different. If white makes a mistake, then nothing happens. The maximum what can happen, white will not lose the game, but every mistake of black can be the last one, can be the fatal one. And also defense of such positions requires much more attention and much more energy, and that's why mistakes in such positions are much more frequent from the weaker side. And also the difference in the strength of the players. Alekhin was a much stronger player than Lokvents. So a5, and now queen f1. So this is what I was talking about. The queen is planning to go to h3 to begin the checks from the side. Rook h6, and now h3. So another very useful move, because we must think about the safety of our own king. And the king can go to h2. Also sometimes white gets an extra check with the help of g4 to expose more the black king. So king e6 has been played, rook d3, queen c2, and now white is using the same principle of attack. It is important to expose opponent's king more and more, to give more chances for your own pieces to attack the king. Rook g6, king h2. Yes, defense of such positions is possible, but extremely difficult. And suddenly one mistake of black and the game is over. So e4, queen, rook e3, king e5, queen e1. And here follows the last decisive mistake of black. King e4 is a losing move. It was necessary to play rook d6 here with drawing chances, but of course such a move like rook d6 is very, very difficult to make in the game. In the game it was played king e4, and suddenly after rook c3 there is no defense. White wins, threatening queen e3, and then rook c5 check. Queen a4, rook c5, and now king f4 stuck. No defense against queen e3 and queen c1. Queen a3, queen d2, e3. Now black loses the queen. f3, queen e3, rook c4, king f3, rook c3, queen c3, queen c3, king f4, queen a5. And since the king is far away from the square g8, cut off, black is not able to create the fortress here, so white won without much trouble, although of course several moves were required to get the full point. h6. Let's finish looking at this game quickly. So it is not so difficult to understand the pattern which white is choosing in order to win this game. So the idea again to activate the king, to push off the black pieces, and at the same time win the pawn h6. So black resigned here.